Hello, 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 everyone. I know it's been a minute since I've went live, but here I am on this Sunday night. What a wonderful night it is. Yeah, hope everybody has good positive energy this weekend. Only good reports to give. And if you do not have all good reports to give, don't worry. Things always get better. It's all about perspective. So, if you do not know who I am, my name is Minnie Alexander, and I talk about relationships and other things, other topics. I am an author. I have a book called A White Man's Whore. Yes, that is the topic. And I have to say thank you for everybody who is buying my book. I love it. I love it. I love it. It feels like a piece of me is in everyone's home that have bought my book. And that's an amazing feeling, an amazing thought to think of that. Every word I wrote is being read by people I'll never meet. So thank you guys for helping me have that amazing experience. So my book is about interracial dating. It talks about things that Black women can go through by dating not just any race of men, but white men. And it's more of an educational book. I have some of my personal stories in there and some interviews that I've done with some women, and just over the years, women I have talked to, and just kind of put it in my book about their different stories about interracial dating. And I talked to women who will never date a white man, and I've talked to women who only date white men, and women who have dated white men, and vice versa when it comes to the white men when I interviewed them for my book. I also talk about the interviews I've done with Black men and how they feel when they see a Black woman dating a white man. So all that is in my book. It's called A White Man's Whore. It is on Amazon. So just type it in the search bar in Amazon and it'll pop right up, and purchase my book. And thank you so much for that. Now, I had a guest tonight, and I do not know where he went. Hopefully he pops back behind stage so we can start this discussion. So let me do my banner right here. All right. So the question tonight is, can Black women really change the modern Black men into something great? And little history behind, because I really hope my guest comes back. Because I've known my guest for, oh gosh, probably 8 years now. He is my spiritual brother. And we could be on the phone literally for 2, 3, 4 hours just talking about bouncing from different topic to different topic. And this is one of the topics that he and I talked about a few nights ago. And I asked him to come onto the show. So we could talk about this topic. I see you backstage. There's someone backstage. I'm going to get to you in a minute. So I wanted, and the conversation was getting so deep, and he was digging deep into in me about my feelings on the topic, and I'm giving my opinions, and he's giving his opinions. It was just a beautiful conversation. So let's see. Hello, Queen.
Hello.
Hey, how you
Okay.
doing tonight?
Here just got in. I literally just logged in. I'm putting all my stuff up. But how are you guys? How everybody doing? I
Good.
didn't catch what
uh,
the show was, but I got at the end of it. What the
Okay.
topic was.
Now, Ajalon, I'm waiting for Ajalon was
Oh,
backstage. I don't know if you can get a hold of Ajalon. I'd like for him to come back so we could start this topic. So the topic is can a black woman basically help the modern black man become something great? And I was explaining that Ajalon and I were talking about this topic a few days ago, and just kind of where the topic was going was just a wonderful thing. And hearing my perspective as a black woman, and hearing his perspective and how he views things. Is there any way you can get a hold of Ajalon?
um, let me try to go on my other phone. I got it on charge, so I put it on my iPhone. 1 second.
Yeah, tell him to
Let me
come on back
see.
up. So, setting the stage for how this topic was given birth between myself and Ajalon. We were talking, and I was, kind of talking about my views on the modern black man. And again, Ajalon and I have known each other for many years. He's I've disclosed to him, and we've talked about many of my highs and my lows in my life. About dating, about my good relationships, bad relationships. He knows a lot. So he was telling me that in my dating experience, that his view as my spiritual brother and knowing me, that a lot of men don't
I need a
vibrate on
purpose.
my level. And this is exactly what he's telling me. He's like, a lot of men do not vibrate on your level, and a modern black man, you have to dumb yourself down in order to really be with him. And that just hit me. It hit me. And I kind of feel like, hey Queen, do you mind muting yourself real quick? I,
1 second. My cousin is she's going into the other room. We're in an Airbnb, so it's kind of like
oh, okay.
one
Okay. Because
spot. So
I can hear
she's I'm
the
looking for the
that.
keys. Here we go. I'm sorry.
Okay. There's the
The
mute button. Oh,
keys.
I think Ajalon's coming up. There's a mute button right there on the bottom of the screen.
I'll show the where is it?
So let's see. All right. Ajalon. King Ajalon. He's muted. Okay. King Ajalon.
Queen Minnie,
Hey,
Queen New
welcome.
Ride, my guy.
Yes.
I'm finna mute my mic for your introduction.
Yes. So I was just explaining to Ajalon how this topic was birthed a few days ago or last week when you and I were talking, and you said something very profound to me because I was explaining to people who are watching about our history, that we've known each other for like 8 or 9 years. You're not somebody I just met yesterday. You are my dear friend. You know me. I know you in real life. And so I was explaining that you were explaining to me that some of the ups and downs I might have had in my dating experience since I've known you, or what kind of woman I am now, what kind of spiritual being I am now, that all the things I do
I
to help
love
my
your evolution.
thank you. And you've been there front center stage to watch it all, Ajlan. Um, and you were telling me that it's difficult for me from your observation because a lot of men don't vibrate on my level, and I would have to dumb down myself in order to be with a modern man. Remember you telling me that, and that just kind of hit me
Absolutely.
because a lot of, then I started flipping back into some relationships that I have been in, or relationships or situationships. Maybe they didn't even start to a relationship yet, and that's exactly what I had to do. I've had to dim myself to in order to be with someone, and that's not. I need to shine. I need to.
Don't let them stop your shine,
That's like
Queen.
trying to
Don't let them stop your
dim.
shine.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I said, don't let them stop your shine, Queen. Don't let them stop your shine because it's a part of the Creator's master plan.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just want to say this. Um, you know, it's no mystery that black people have been colonialized, and we've been educated and religiousized and marginalized. But you have liberated yourself. I remember you read Stolen Legacy. You even just got back from visiting the land of the great, the ancestors. And so
Hmm.
the frequency of you in the program of Western civilization or America that they want the black man, the color, the Negro, African American to be is a script that's already wrote. You need someone authentic, someone who's original, someone who knows how to do research, and someone who's not just looking for, excuse my language, intercourse, or but someone who captivates you mentally, who can be soft and gentle yet strong and warm. Um, I watched you develop, and I'm very impressed. I salute you.
Thank you. Thank you. Queen. Queen. So what do you think about this particular topic about and I really want to tonight I really want to dive deep into this relationship between the black man and the black woman and what powers the black women have and what we can do. So go ahead, Queen. You got something to say about the topic?
Well, this is what I will say. I can only come from my experience, and my experience with my relationships has literally been only two solid relationships. I've took
Okay.
those relationships very seriously because I literally just didn't have the time to play. So my first relationship that I took seriously was the one with my son's father, very unconventional. And then the relationship I had with my male counterpart when my son was about 7, that lasted till he was about 9.5. Totally different. With those two different situations and those two different types of relationships, it opened me, I'm gonna say, to a level where I can understand where the man is coming from in a relationship and where the woman is coming from in a relationship, to the point where I don't feel I'm creating a man at all. Either this man is helping me build and we're
Mm-hmm.
building this kingdom together. He is
Mm-hmm.
his own man, I am my own woman. I agree with the fact that I can make him better, he can make me better, but I just don't agree with the thought that a woman is going to, I would say, clay mold a man into something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you don't mind me asking, were both the men you were dating, were they black men?
Yes,
Okay. And again, if you don't mind me asking, are you single right now or are you in a
yes,
relationship? You're single.
single.
Okay.
I've been single since.
Okay. So I feel kind of like hey Christine and hey Jack of Spades. I see you guys in the building. Um, so I kind of feel like there's always two sides of the story. I mean, black men are saying one thing, black women are saying something, and it's like we're
Mm,
at the point now where it's like I feel like we are truly at each other's throats. And being at each other's throats, we don't hear what the other person has to say, even the constructive criticism to help each other get better. As
mm-hmm.
people, not even as a relationship, just as people, it's like we don't do that. And it
Nope.
feels like as a black woman, and I love how you said your experience, because the only thing we can do as individuals is talk about our experience. It feels kind of like from my past experience with dating black men, where it feels like they are kind of like vampires. And I might get some people get mad at me for saying this. I don't care. It feels kind of like they're vampires, where it's a whole bunch of weight put on me where they want me to get them to that greatness. I have the ability in me. I absolutely have the ability in me to help a man get to his greatness and to help him maintain his mental capacity when he feels like he can't go on. I have those abilities. I'm a woman and I've tuned into that part of me. But the part that's kind of frustrating to me is when men can sense that, like you could sense it, you could smell it, that I'm that kind of woman. They're not mature enough to know that they have to pour something back into me. So what I've run into with a lot of Black men is they sense that in me, that I could be the motivator, I could be the cheerleader, I could be all these different things to him, but he hasn't evolved in his masculinity and matured to a level where he can give it back to me, so he's not replenishing me. He turns into a vampire. Have you experienced
Yes.
that, Queen?
Yes, that's the reason why I've been single this whole time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get that energy transference, and it's not
Yeah.
just black men to me,
Mm-hmm.
it's people in general that do that.
Mm-hmm.
I got a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that experience and that energy from people just in general
Mm-hmm.
that sense that in me, not just
Mm-hmm.
black men. But
Mm-hmm.
the relationship part is what people don't understand. Like, where I come from with it is when I started to realize that all of that is energy. So I'm absorbing all of that energy that he's absorbing from me when we're getting intimate, when we're getting sexual. That's the energy transference at just this essence. So that's what made me be celibate for a while. That's what made me brush off for a while. That's what made me analyze, is it worthy for me
Mm-hmm.
getting into that deep of a relationship and intimacy with this man, female, whoever it is that you choose. But with me, it was, I can't get into that relationship with this black man right now if he's not on that same frequency and level, because it's not going in. It was up to me as a female to figure out if I'm willing to try to build that black man. So, for lack of better words, or for the subject, for the sake of this subject,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do it if, especially if it's a situation where I'm weighing out my assets and liabilities of the
Mm-hmm.
whole situation. A majority of the time when I see myself trying to get into these relationships with guys, getting to know them, trying to build something with them, it's not automatic that I want to just say, I'm sorry, hold on, you guys. Speaking of
Mm-hmm.
kings, it's my young king. But hold on, Jacal. But just to get in a relationship, and then again, my son, I'm teaching him how to be a man too. I cannot just say, all right, I'm gonna get in this relationship, I'm gonna see how it works, and I'm gonna build him up and do this, and he's not pouring anything into me and my situation at all. And it drains me, but I'm supposed to keep going forward. If that man really cared about me and cared about his kingdom, he wouldn't even let his queen do that. That's
Mm-hmm.
just how I felt, so I wasn't gonna keep going with it. And if I sense it and feel it from the beginning, I'm not even gonna let us start it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I've been for all these years.
Mm-hmm. Now I know there are Black men out there. Now, if people have watched my other videos, I don't feel like I go in hard on Black men. I always say there are good ones out there. There are ones that I possibly could vibrate with, that vibrate how I vibrate, and if we actually met, I mean, we could freaking move mountains. But those are very hard to find, or either they're already vibrating with somebody, or the ones, and I use it in the title, modern. The modern one,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you and I just both just and again, I just met you, Queen, tonight. We just talked about how we have this energy and this capability to build a man and help him get to his next level. But do you ever hear them talking about finding a woman who has potential and helping her get to her next level? And I know there's men out here who've done it, but it's far and few. And again,
Especially when you're in the
go ahead.
dating field, like we're trying to be, because people look at the dating field like it's a big pool of, you get to go through and pick. I'm not trying to go through 1,000 to get
Yeah,
to that one.
yeah,
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and then a lot of the stuff that you got to do now with the competition and being pretty and all of this other stuff they go through, people not even looking at the real yous anymore. Like, likes and loves on Instagram made people forget what real love is. So it's hard to date out here. Like, I show homage to any female out here that's really actually dating.
yeah.
Like, going out on dates, being online or whatever it is you do, go to clubs, whatever it is, meet dudes and actually go out on dates and give them time and relate. I salute you, because I'm not doing it. It's a
They
lot
still
of
got a
work.
little left in them. They still got a little left in them, or they I don't even know. I don't even
It's
know.
a
They
lot
still,
of work.
they still got a little gas in their tank, because
I ain't got it.
I see
How about
women
E?
being burnt out daily where they're just kind of like, yeah, screw this. I either, again, I'm not saying all men. I got to say that because you got some people
Exactly.
that,
I'm not saying all
you know,
men.
but especially, you know, a woman who is, and again, taking care of herself. Because, back in the day, some women had to settle and marry because she wasn't able to get a job to take care of herself. Today, we can take care of
Exactly.
ourselves. Not saying we're putting any man down, but we're putting ourselves in that position. So, as a lot of women, they are burnt out when it comes to dating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, why would I hook up with someone who's going to lie to me, cheat on
Mm-hmm.
me, not put nothing into me, manipulate me, do all these foul things to me and say sorry with no change. Just use sorry and love as a word. Why should I go through all that when I'm doing pretty damn good by my damn self?
I
So I see a lot of
mean,
women getting burnt out, and that's where they're going. And it's like, I didn't really understand that until literally the past like few months where I'm like, dang, I get them now. I get them now.
mm, I've been going through that since, well, I don't know. I just got an old soul. When my son father showed me what all of those years of dealing with different dudes would be. So I got a taste of all of that in one relationship. That's why I
Oh,
thanked
you
him. I
talking about
told him,
the list I just listed?
yeah, he did all that in one
Damn.
relationship. That's why it
Damn.
was like, thank you. No,
Yes.
I told him thank you. So that
Yes.
I didn't have to go through 8 different dudes. One dude to lie to me, one dude to cheat on me, one dude to escalate whatever, all of the other stuff to do. I didn't have to go through that. I went through all of that in one sitting. And it wasn't even it was a different situation. It was a this that's for another story. That's for another another show. But the situation with me and him, we was friends, you know what I'm saying? So he was showing me the real anyway. But and my grandfather, all of them, I had men in my life that showed me what real men would do to women who would sit there and let them do that. And I've always been taught a man ain't gonna do but what you let him do.
Mm-hmm.
If you accept to let him do that, that's what he gonna do. So if you don't accept to let him do that, he know not to play with you. So y'all have an understanding, communicate, open your mouth, let them
Mm-hmm.
know what it is you're trying to. And a lot of females don't. A lot of females now, they, I don't even know what's. It's like the suffrage going backwards because I swore y'all was fighting over wanting to be right and equal, and then when it come around to that time, is that whole independent to me. I think we really lost it honestly when we decided to our role as black women. Me personally is how I feel when we had the man that bought the house before he proposed to the black woman,
Mm-hmm.
bought, created the land or whatever prosperity that he wanted for his family, his woman to be able to do, take care of home, have his children, build his legacy. She do whatever she want to do, but she understands this house, this home, this is hers, this is ours. This is our land. Where we gonna eat at. This is how we survive. When that black unity was going together, everything was cool. Granted, outside, with the white, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about amongst just us. Everything was cool in that household and that going through from the history that I've been reading, from our ancestors, my grandmother, great grandmothers I've been talking to. As soon as women want that equal rights, and I ain't talking about us, but I'm talking about women and
Mm-hmm.
them women, when they
Mm-hmm.
wanted equal rights, and oh, we need to be able to vote, work, and all this other junk, that's when it went off the rockers. That's when the family.
My mom has told me that since I was a teenager that when the lib movement happened, stuff changed. But hey,
That's
Queen,
when it changed.
yeah, Queen, real quick, I want to introduce the Clue channel. Did I say it right?
Hello, me S. This is the Clue Channel. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Include
Hey, welcome,
channel.
welcome.
What's going on? Hey, Minnie,
Yes.
are you a divester?
Am I am I a divester?
Yes.
I don't really know how to answer that.
Okay. Just answer it, please.
Well, I I don't
But
I
it's
don't
a divester.
Yeah, what is your
Minnie.
definition of a divestiture?
that's a good start. That's a good start.
Well, the divestors are well, it's mostly women who have turned their back on the community, the black community.
Never mind. I'm sorry. Hold on, baby. You.
I want to say this.
It's okay to
I,
laugh.
I,
It's
want I
okay to
want to say
laugh.
this. I want to say this. The way you came in, you used the terminology that was foreign, but Sin turned it back against the community. I would like to know that also.
I'll answer that because I'll answer that. So have I turned my back on the black community? That's what you're asking,
Yes.
or
That's what I'm asking.
no?
Yes, ma'am.
No,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely not. No.
You haven't.
And again, only person on here that knows me in my real life is one person, and I do a lot for our community in my real life. So no, I can never. I'm a black woman. I can't. I
Oh.
can never do that ever.
I was just asking. That's all.
Okay, yeah, and I'm
Just
answering.
asking.
Go. So what do you think about this topic? What's your thoughts?
I came on just to address you, Minnie.
Oh, that's all you had
That's
to ask me?
yeah. No, no. Yes,
Okay. Yes.
but
Yes.
it seems your content is against the black men.
Mm-hmm.
So I question that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Okay.
Why is your content against black men?
Now, I would not say my content is against black men, and I always say for people who say exactly what you said, there are good black men out here. But my sisters around me, my single sisters, even the ones that are married, I hear their stories. I have my own personal stories. I think black men could do better. I think they can do
I
better
agree.
in the
I
Can
treatment
I
of
agree.
just
us.
one
I agree.
second?
I actually agree with
Uh,
that. I agree with
So
that.
can I intersect real quick? Just one quick second. I thought I heard you say multiple times. I don't mean all black men, but go ahead.
and hey, I think you interviewed me, didn't you? Did you interview me on your channel? Where'd he go?
Me?
Uh-huh.
No, I never talked to you before. This is our first time
Oh,
talking.
never mind. I got you confused with somebody else. But I'm sorry,
You
Queen.
know,
What were you saying, Queen?
No, I was just interjecting when I was saying I heard you say multiple times when you spoke about black men and the experiences you were having, you did not
Mm-hmm.
say all black men.
Mm-hmm.
You made it your business to say not all black men. So therefore you can't be against all black men when you clearly said not all black men.
Yeah.
But that's just all I wanted to say about that.
But now why did you uh the Clue channel, why did you agree with me when I made my last comment?
what was your last comment again? Please just
About I feel the black men could do better when it comes to the treatment of black
yes.
women.
No, 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 no. I don't agree with that.
Oh,
I
you don't
agree
agree.
that
Okay.
I agree that the black men should do better.
To do
Period.
better. Okay. Do
Yeah.
better, period.
Yeah.
But can that also include the treatment of black women? Or that doesn't include that part?
What do you mean? What do you mean by the treatment of black women exactly? Can you
So,
illustrate that for me, please?
okay. Just and I think a lot of it is again is something that and again we can go back and forth and say, well, black women do this. Yeah, we that's a whole nother subject and topic. And I'm just talking about my personal experience, and the queen that's on my panel, she just shared a tad bit of her experience. Just in the respect part. And especially if you're meeting a black woman who is respectable, who is a classy woman, who is really trying to build something. I've seen it so many times where, and we're just staying on the topic of black men, we're not going into other races, where they get this woman and it's like they just mistreat her. And I see this, it's like all the time. Like I have more stories from my sister that I've seen this happen to in myself versus than the good stories of actually meeting someone, a black man, and he's like actually he's actually doing what he says being who he said who he represents, like he's actually treating her well, not perfect, he might have to say sorry a few times, but he's really not trying to go and really like you know damage her. I see more of the opposite
How
as a
how
black woman on this end.
okay, so you feel disrespected,
Unappreciated.
unappreciated. How are you feeling unappreciated? Miss Minnie.
Okay. Again, from my stories and other stories I've heard and I've seen and witnessed, it's like there's
No,
nothing.
no, 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 no.
Go ahead.
I,
Go ahead.
I don't want to hear about other stories. I want to hear about you.
My personal stories. Okay. My personal stories with dealing with black men is I kind of feel like no matter what you do, you're always going to get the shitty part of them. Wow, I know that's harsh. I know that's really harsh. But you can
Go ahead.
cook, you can clean, you could be their porn star, you could be their therapist, you can be the shoulder they cry on, you could be all of those things, and a lot of them at the end of the day, you will still get the short end of the stick.
Really?
Not all of them. I can maybe think one or two in my life that have never done that, but the majority of them, absolutely.
Okay. I'm not here to defend black men.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that, but I'm not. I'm not. I just want to find out more about you. More about you. That's all.
Okay.
That's all. I
Okay.
just want
Well,
to find out more about Minnie S.
okay.
Alexander.
Well, thank you. Thank you for trying to, I guess, learn more about me. Yeah. So, there was somebody else, Jack Spade. We haven't heard anything from you.
What's up? Happy Monday morning, one and all.
Hey.
All right, so
Jack
the
Spade,
th-
Jack Spade, what's up?
good morning, good morning. So I'm going to say this: no man can build a woman, no woman can build a man. If you have the tangibles to be what, be all that you can be, if you have the tangibles to make your goals and aspirations happen, then you have what it takes. What the thing is, and the same thing for men and women. The thing is, everybody ain't for everybody. I'm a man who's lived in 6 different states, 15 different cities. So, I am a traveled man and even a foreign country. But trying to find that 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 right one, and I'll put an asterisk on that. That right one, I mean, it's a needle in a haystack. There are some people, no matter their race, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their gender, they have found the right one and they have that 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 year marriage. Um, a lot of that's just luck. Just being at the right place at the right time with the right it and meeting somebody else who has their stuff in order enough that y'all two had something to build and you just continued on. It's easy to talk about the extremes when it comes down to black men and black women. And that's one of the things I kind of get upset with social media is because folks, they love to touch and talk about the extremes. Nobody wants to, talk about the stuff in the middle, those little gray areas, because they, a lot of sides, or both sides, they don't want to admit where they're wrong and they don't want to really talk about where they're right. It's just, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong 100%. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong 100%. And a lot of times, like I said, once you get in the middle and start talking about the everyday stuff, the everyday goods and bads and nuances, we all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. So yeah, it's, if you're coming to the table with your stuff together, hopefully during your travels in life, you find somebody that has their stuff together enough. Y'all recognize what y'all have, y'all recognize each other potential, and you put in the work to create and sustain a marriage and child rearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the luck part, I don't I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, it is like if there's somebody that you just kind of connect to, vibe with, you guys are similar in personalities. We have there's tons of different personalities, and just personality wise, you're just kind of like you're like a puzzle piece. You guys just fit together so well. Yeah, I mean, I guess it can be just a roll the dice luck, but I think also um I mean, I would never tell anybody they need to be 100% healed before they get into a relationship from any past trauma. No, because we always have past trauma. We have trauma that happens even when we're in a relationship. It might not even have anything to do with that partner that's in the relationship. But I think that when if you really want to get into a serious relationship, or in some people's case monogamous, if you want to have a monogamous relationship, there's something about you that needs to kind of be prepared. And I think that's what a lot of people, women, and again, being more specific, Black women, because I do talk about Black women too, and Black men, they're not preparing themselves, and they're still doing that same behavior when they were single, being very selfish, and they seem like they can't get out of that loop. So when they meet someone who can say, hey, yeah, I'm flawed, but I'm ready to build with somebody, and I'm really to call myself on my shit when I do mess up, and let you call me on my shit, because I'm maturing in that, trying to mature in that area. It seems like that's hard to find, to have two
But you
people
know,
on that type of
So are you a
wavelength build
divester or
together.
not? Annie?
I am not. since,
Okay,
since
that's all I
you gave
want to
me,
know.
yeah, since you gave me
That's
that
all I want to know.
your actual definition, to
Yeah,
make sure we're not talking about two different things, I am not.
good. Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Jack Spade.
but you know, the thing about it is, I got married at 36.
Okay.
What happened was maybe about a year prior, um, I had one of these revelations. I was like, bruh, you're not going to accomplish the things that you said that you wanted to accomplish if you don't get your act together.
Mm-hmm.
The world is not going to wait on you. Your potential wife, if one comes along, she's not going to wait on you. This little attitude you got, the little chip on your shoulder, in order for you to make things happen, you're going to have to bring people on board. You're going to have to be of somebody someone else wants to be a friend of, an associate, a professional associate, whatever it is, because no man, no woman has ever made their own way by themselves. It's impossible. You got to have people to point you in the right direction. You got to have people that will at least crack a door for you. And I was like, if I don't get my stuff together, I'm gonna end up missing Miss Potential. And that is hard, because you're admitting to
Wow.
your own self that you're not perfect,
Yep.
that everybody is wrong and you're right. And there's a lot of people, they don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit that they are their own screw up.
Yep.
So I took it to heart. I shedded a tear, because, like I said, it was a kick in the butt. But once I got all that stuff straight, I ended up meeting a person that I got married to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, at 36. And when I proposed, well, before I proposed to her, I was like, okay, there's some things that I'm just going to have to, give up. Yeah, I'm egotistical.
Pull your own card. Pull your own card. Yes.
Yes, I'm egotistical.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a chip on my shoulder. It's my way or the highway. But I knew if I was going to bring someone along and try to have a successful marriage, I'm going to have to draw a line in that stuff, because when I bring someone into my world, it has to be a world that is constructive and valuable to us, not just me. And that's something that you don't hear spoken by a lot of people. They want it to be their way, and then the other
Mm-hmm.
person is supposed to adjust to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think when someone can actually be honest with them, really be honest, not just sit up there, yeah, I know I'm an asshole, but then they're still holding on to be an asshole, but really be honest of who and what you are, and be honest about your strengths, weaknesses, limitations, and negative tendencies, and really put in the work to get all that stuff straight. The likelihood of you finding somebody increases, because you won't just be flicking people to the left and right off of just superficial stuff. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't until I was 36 and I met somebody. We were married for 6 years in North Carolina. You have to be separated for a year before you can put in the paperwork. So it's 7 years, but we were together for 6 years. It didn't work out. And I tell people, and then people go into shock. I tell them, I said, if I can turn back the hands of time, I would remarry the same person I did knowing that the relationship we're in, because I got married to her for what I felt was the right reasons. And I think she got married to me for the right reasons. Now, why we ended up the divorce, that's a short story, but I think somebody was saying something.
Oh no, I was
I,
just listening.
I thought somebody had said something. Well, if anybody wants to take the mic, go ahead, and I'll come back to why we got married or why we got divorced after everybody gets
Okay.
their round.
Ray, right on, Jack Spade. I'm just listening and I'm really enjoying the show. I like the flow. King Ajalon the Ansuba of Loyal African Minds and Joint African Market for worldwide African unity and Black revolutionary progress. From an analytical point of view, from the stats, I'm Pan African, and I'll put it in perspective. We've been colonized all around the world.
Pan-African.
We've been colonized all around the world. Our land's been taken. Our throne's been knocked down. Black men has been enemy number one globally in each society. The FBI under the Marcus Garvey movement said we have to destroy the black family. COINTEL operation under the Black Panther and Civil Rights movement said we got to get the black men out the home. And black exploitation made us in the image of pimps, hustlers, hoodlums, thugs, robbers. And a lot of us got hauled to penitentiary if we didn't go to college, become corporate, going to the service. And so we've been socially engineered since we've integrated. But during segregation, we had a need for each other because it wasn't about black man and black woman. It was about legacy and heritage and carrying on. But through integration, the black man has been removed. He never had any power. He don't own any businesses because it destroyed everything that we built. And we got integrated. And they put the black woman, social engineering, in a particular position where she's a breadwinner. And a lot of them been raised by, some of them are fortunate to have a mother and father. Some of them been raised by women telling you don't need a man, be strong. And some of the black men that we see today have been raised by their mother who taught their son how to be a man. And so we understand the products that we have today. The black men modern, a lot of them are who they are because their mother was their teacher. And whether you're thinking you're putting good morals or bad, we know that the rap music in the media and going to school, they have an opportunity to learn shit out behind your back. And so I'm just putting that in a frame because through the rap music, the black woman is just
get
a piece
rid
of
of black.
Well, we will do that later, but that was the subject matter. You know, so another show we cannot use black. But right now, as I'm making my analytical,
can we get
wait, hold on, brother.
What I mean was,
hold on, just let me finish speaking.
What I mean
let me finish speaking, and then I'll let you get in.
Here's what I mean. Can we
let me
get rid
finish
of black?
Speaking, and
period.
then I'll let you get in, brother. I'll let you get in. Let me finish. I'm almost finished, and then you can tell your definition.
Okay.
So one thing we know as a culture, right? We're becoming a disculture, and through social media, there has been an implementation of black men and black women. And we know when the black men get successful, since we're not segregated and we're integrated, the prize is the white girl. And we know through politics right now, we're seeing the black woman going into a prominent position if she have a fair relationship with a white man. We see the black women that they're showing on TV have a non-black man as their mate. And so that's social engineering. But going back, when we're in the community, we see 85% of our people with our people. But doing media and social media and doing the audio of listening to music, there is a war. But outside of that illusion, we all we got. Now, brother, go ahead and tell us why we need to get rid of black and what you mean with all due respect.
Okay. So we need to get rid of black because black is in this country, black is the bedrock problem of everything that's going on in this country. Is race. I'm not going to say black, but race. Bringing up race every 3 seconds is what's dividing us in this country. So if all of
Let me say
black
this.
people,
You
if
can
all
get
of
rid of
black
you.
people,
Wait,
You can get
this
rid of
hold
race.
up,
wait, pause.
if
You can get
all
rid
of
of race.
black people,
Wait, brother.
if all of black
You can
Pause,
people,
get rid
King.
of
Let
race,
him
this,
talk.
if
but you
hold
cannot
up, wait a
change
King,
minute,
King, let him talk.
Wait a
King, let
minute,
him
Osborne.
if
talk.
Let him
all,
talk. Let him
Let
talk.
him talk.
Let
if
him talk.
I'm
all,
sorry.
if all of black people disconnected themselves from anything black, that would kill the oppressor. Tell me I just lied right there.
You just lied.
How
Right
so?
there.
How so?
Okay.
How so, sir?
They went around. They went around and colonized us as Ashanti, Africans, black, colored, whatever word. That doesn't stop their mentality on how you think and what you say. You can see it in Australia. You can see it in the Micro Islands. You can see it in Hawaii. You can see everywhere we at. We've been colonized, and we have been
Right.
split geographically. We have been disenfranchised. So whatever you call yourself doesn't the pressure from moving that they move. I agree with you. As a people, we can stop using status of black, but I don't think it's going to change
Uh-huh.
the foreigner and the alien or the others from looking at you any
What?
kind of way
It
because you were
starts with
already under
us.
other names when they came and got you.
It starts with us, sir. It starts with
Baby,
us.
sticks and stones may never
We
break my
What I'm
bones and none of them
we
saying,
pay
get rid
my
of
bills.
none of
what I'm
black.
saying,
Mr.
you wasn't
Clue,
black
If
Mr.
when
we
they
get
came
Clue,
and
rid
got
of
you.
black,
Mr. Clue, I have a
we get rid of
question.
black. We should do it. If we get rid of black,
Okay.
then all the
Yeah.
generations
We get
after
rid
us
of black.
won't know anything about black, and that'll be a good thing, right?
But I
Not at
like
all.
I love
Not
being
at
As
all.
black.
a
I
so
love
Not
now
at
it.
listen,
all. Not at
we
all.
Yes, it
wasn't
will.
black
Not at
when they
Yes,
all.
it
came and
will.
Wait,
got
can
us.
I please say something? Do
Yes, it
people
will.
hear me? Or I don't nobody hear me.
You go ahead, Queen.
Do
It
anybody hear me?
will. It'll be a
Clue,
good thing.
Mr. Clue, the clue,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
the clue, the
Yes,
clue.
sir. Yes, sir.
What ethnicity or pigmentation are you?
People call me black.
Did anybody? Oh, call you what?
People call me black.
Call you what? So how are we gonna eliminate what you are? You just said it. You don't even got
I
another
said
word
people
for it.
call me that. I said
So
people call me that.
people call what do you call yourself then? So that
An
way I can replace it
American.
with this black that you said you're an
I call
American.
myself an
You came from
American.
you're an American.
Yes, I was born here.
Your
I
indigenous
pay
DNA and all
taxes.
that came
I
from
pay
this
taxes
particular
here.
continent.
I pay
You know
taxes
what? I
here.
can't
I'm an
talk to you. You're
American.
not cosmic.
Yes.
I'm good. And now I see where you're
I
at. I
pay
see where
taxes
you're at.
here.
I refuse
I'm an
to talk
American. I
myself to lower
pay for this
individuals. I get it.
country. I pay for this country. That makes me
I
an
get it.
American.
I get it.
Yes, it
I get it.
does.
I get it.
Yes,
I
it
get it
does.
100%.
All
I'm not
right.
gonna make my point to you. I can't make my point to you. I get it.
Yeah, I understand. Hey,
You
hey,
made my point for
no
me.
salt, no salt, no salt. I
No
understand.
salt. This ain't nothing but salt and pepper. You made my point for me. I didn't even have to ask my question. Now I get where you coming from.
Yeah,
I don't even gotta get it.
because
As a black person,
if you keep riding on race, you're gonna
are
keep
you a
having
white
problems.
person posing as a black person?
Yeah, I swear to God. I swear to Becky.
Say that
Like
again.
Are you a white
I couldn't.
man posing as a black person?
No, I'm not a white man at all. No, no, I've never been a white man. No.
Okay, well, you never was included when the white people or the Europeans created America to be a part of their society. So no matter how you feel, doesn't stop their movement. But
What
let's
I'm
get back to
saying.
the topic of
Here's what I'm
let's get back to the
saying.
topic of the black
Here's what I'm
and
saying, sir.
Wait.
Sir, here's what I'm
King
man and
saying.
woman
Let him
relationship.
talk. Let him talk, King Arjun. I want to hear what he has to say, please.
Who? Me or
Yeah, you.
him?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, you.
Here's
Go
what.
ahead.
Yeah. You many. Here's what I'm saying. If you just look at black or look at race, okay, as just skin. If you look at those two things, it's just skin. That could do things for your people. That could do things for everybody. If you look at race as just skin, that's all it is skin.
Let's
There's
go.
nothing
Let
special.
me ask you a question,
Hold
my
up.
brother.
Wait a minute. Let me finish. There's nothing special about being black. There's nothing wonderful about being black. No.
It's a whole
It's
bunch of
just
black is beautiful,
skin.
black is special,
No,
black is
no,
eternity.
black is just
Black is
skin.
melon. Some people
It's just
lack
skin.
melon.
It's just
No, it's melon.
It's just
It's melon.
skin. All
It's
it is
melanated. It's
skin.
the creation of the universe.
All it is skin. It hold up.
No, it's more than skin,
if you
brother.
teach
It's
your
more than
children,
skin.
if you teach your children that it's just skin and nothing else, greatness will
No,
come
it's a
with it.
matter of the
Yes, it will.
universe.
It's
Yes, it
not
will.
just your
Just
Wait a
skin,
minute,
the
wait a minute,
it's
clue.
wait a
just
It's
minute.
not
skin. That's
just
Wait,
your
all it
wait.
skin,
is.
the
I'm
clue.
gonna
That
start
is
putting people on
all
mute.
it
Wait a
No, it
minute.
is.
is not.
Just
Wait a
No,
skin.
it
minute.
is not.
Wait a minute.
Just
Scientifically, it is
skin.
Wait,
not.
okay, wait a minute. Wait
Scientifically,
a
it
minute.
is
Wait, wait, wait,
not.
wait, wait. Hey, the host here, Minnie. Hello. Can I
I'm
say something real
sorry.
quick? Give me like 30
Hey,
seconds.
Minnie, go ahead.
Now, again, on my show, I'm not on one side or the other side. On my show, I let everybody have their own opinion, even if it's not my own opinion, you know. So, but I have to say, even just let's just go into the imagination that tomorrow we get rid of the word black, right? As black people, we get rid of the word black. That don't mean the European man or the white man that lives next door to you is not going to see you as different.
That's okay. That's a good thing, Minnie. It's a good thing that they see you as different. That's a
No,
good thing.
they're going to see you as how they've been seeing us for hundreds of years, even
They
if
see
we're
you
not going to
different.
acknowledge
They see
that
you as
we are
different.
black.
I agree with
Minnie,
Minnie.
Minnie,
Minnie,
Minnie. Hold
when
up,
we was
Minnie,
not black
Minnie.
when they
Wait a
came and
minute.
got us.
Wait,
Wait, Ajlan,
wait
hold
a
on,
second,
Ajlan.
Minnie. They
Go
see
ahead.
you
I'm
as
listening.
different, right? They see you as different. That's a good thing.
When?
That's a good
When
Not
thing.
did
in
they
a
do this?
positive way.
Wait a minute, Minnie.
Oh,
They
go
see
ahead.
you as different. That's a good thing. Tell me
As
that's
of
not a good thing.
as of today,
When?
and as
When
of
did they do
tomorrow.
this?
Wait a minute.
I'm talking to Minnie.
As of today, and tomorrow, just say again, as black people, we don't use the black. We don't call ourselves black.
Mhm.
The world is still going to stereotype me as a booty shaker, loud mouth,
That's okay. That's
disrespectful,
okay.
dark person.
That's
We
okay.
never
That's
gave
So it's
okay.
ourselves
not
the
going to
Wait a
label
change
black.
minute,
anything.
Minnie. Hold up. Wait a minute, Minnie. That's
I'm
okay.
going. Go ahead.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay that they stereotype you as that. That's okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Ajlan wants to say something, so let's let Ajlan chime in. Go ahead,
Okay.
Ajlan.
Okay. Okay.
Um, as a sociologist, I disagree with you, but I respect your opinion. We were so many things when they came and got us. We didn't label ourselves black or colored or African American or nigger. Those labels have been given to us. Those labels are in Congress. They're over in Great Britain, in Germany. The colonizers who run shit in Australia and Africa. That is what they teach inside their government and public in schools. It's an indoctrination. There are so many labels that we call ourselves. That never stopped the institutional or systemic racism. But however, I would like to get back to the black man and black woman. Can the black woman build a black man? And I agree with the Queen Nura Maka that she can help a black man become a better man if they come together, not with dick and pussy, but if they come together mutually with a vested interest and a plan to move forward so they have a script and they have a goal and so they can achieve and attain with a balance and one accord. But if they come in because she like his shoe size or the smell of his cologne and what he drives, most of those type of relationships can fall apart because the interest was not from the higher self.
Mm. Yeah.
And again, I say that from experience. That's the reason why I am saying it.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the clue. And what I wanted to say about all that is the fact that whether we take the black or we blame, we're not blaming this on black men. We're saying this is in general as an experience of the men that we have encountered. Whether you are a black man or a man portraying himself to be a black man or not, if the shoe don't fit, it wasn't meant for you. But it is men around here. It is
Can
black men. Now, the reason why I get where you saying not black men, because it's all men that do that. Your white
can we
men do
agree
this.
that
Your
can we
Chinese
agree that
men do
race is
this.
the problem though? So
Race is not a problem. This is the
race
problem.
is the
People like
problem.
you
Can
want
we
to act
agree on
like
that?
race ain't the problem. You want
Can
to
we agree?
eliminate that
Can
race
we
is the
agree
problem.
on that race is the problem?
No,
Mentioning
we
race
can't agree,
is
but you can
the
think that.
problem.
Race is not the problem. They created that, sweetie.
They did,
So
It is
but
institutional
it's
racism.
black people. It's black people that keep perpetuating this whole fallacy
You
called
must be a
race.
white man perpetrating
that's
as a
what I
black
No,
said.
man.
no,
He
I'm not.
gotta
No,
be.
no,
Yes, you
no, no.
do.
Just listen to me.
Well, then
Listen
if
to
you're
me.
not, you're a coon. Period.
Listen to me.
Because the
Listen to
whole
me.
point is, if you
Listen
keep
to
saying
me.
that race is the problem, we
Bringing up
need to stop
race every
saying
30
black.
seconds
We
Whoa,
is a
need
whoa,
to stop
whoa.
problem.
saying
Whoa,
Can
we
black.
you
don't gotta call each other
can you
names.
agree with me on that?
No.
Can
If
you
you can
agree with
stop
me on that?
Congress, if you can stop Congress and the white establishment, then go ahead. Start with them. Don't start with us.
No. What I'm saying is, why don't we just do away with race altogether?
But did
Because
you
Tell
it's
the
Do
white
read
away with
what
it.
supremacists
he
and
gave you
tell
to do?
institutional racism
Why we
So what,
and
you
the
why
gonna
we
college
kill all
structure
the
why we
to
white
do
need to
away
people?
with
feed
it.
this beast?
Like, what are you
Why
talking
do
about?
we
You
need
can't
to
do away
feed
with
this
racism.
beast? Why do we need to feed this beast? Just get rid
well,
of
hey, you
race
guys. Hey,
altogether.
KOK.
Can we
Just
talk about the
Hey,
black man and black woman
hey,
relationship,
wait,
please?
hold on real quick. KOK,
No,
welcome.
hey, Minnie, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful
Salutations.
tonight.
Love the
Yes.
people on the panel, everybody in the chat. What's going on? How y'all doing? My name is King of Kampala.
Thank you for the salute.
Kampala Beach, Uganda, but I've lived my whole life here in America between
Okay.
Kansas and
Okay.
Mississippi.
The motherland in the house.
Yep.
But I wanna say I know what he's talking about. They tried that and it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? It never worked.
you know
You know what I'm
you
saying?
know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, but it just didn't work and it won't work. It can't work.
What am
And
I?
it's not
What
supposed to
didn't
work.
work? What didn't work? Explain to me what
Trying
didn't
to
work.
trying to make the race and your skin complexion and them lips and their hair disappear. It
No,
won't
no,
happen.
no. That's not what I said.
That
That's
is what
not
you
what I
said.
said.
You
What I
said get rid
said.
of the black. You said get rid of
What I
race and
said.
black.
No.
And
What
it's
I said.
impossible to do that because
Here's
race
what I
is what
said.
makes people special. It's what makes them
Here is what I said.
it's what makes them
What
who
I,
they are. You can't get
sir,
rid of that.
sir. Here's what I
You can't
said.
get rid of that. Chinese
Here's
people
what I
won't do
said.
that.
Hold up. Here's
The
what I
white people
said.
showing. The
Wait.
Mexicans
Can you
showing.
hear? L. Can
The
he hear
Asians
me?
showing.
Can he hear
The
me?
Japanese
Can he hear me?
showing. The
Can
Africans
he hear me?
Okay.
I don't think
refuse
he
to
can
do
hear
that.
me. He can't hear me.
I think he wants to respond to what you were saying.
Here's what
I
I
think
said.
we're all on one accord
Wait a
except for
minute.
him.
Here's what I said. Here's what I said. Let's stop talking about race. Simple as
You
that.
can't. You can't.
Yes, you
It
can.
will
We
never
can
happen.
do it. We
You
can do
cannot
it.
do that.
We
Please,
can
brother,
do
why
it.
don't you stop talking
Because the
about it?
biggest religions
We
are
can do
tied
it.
directly through DNA.
We
You
can
can't
do it.
You cannot. You cannot do it.
If you stop talking about race, all this shit goes away.
Then
Okay, you start.
then you
Let us
what
all
you're
talk
of it
about
saying
race
is
goes
and you
away.
stop.
that they should get rid of Islam and Christianity and Judaism.
I'm not
'Cause
talking
those
about
things are tied
religion.
directly to
Listen,
I'm not talking
listen,
about
a race
religion.
of people.
I'm not talking
I'm not
about
talking
religion.
about
I'm talking about
religion.
race.
I'm not talking about
But it's
religion.
one
I'm
and the
going.
same.
I'm talking about
It's one and the
race.
same. You talking
If
about
we
a tradition
stop
and a
talking
culture
about race, it
that's
About
tied
goes
the
away.
directly
I
subject
want
of
to
the
thank
day.
you, Aisha, for inviting me to your show.
KOK. Listen.
It
I'm
is
thinking about
tied
to
to
check
a
out.
people.
KOK.
Is
Subject
it,
tonight.
Listen to
are
me for a
those
minute.
religions not
Just
tied to
listen
a
to me.
DNA in the people
Just listen
source?
to me for a minute. If you
Answer
stop
that
talking
question
about
first, and then
race,
I'll listen to
hold
you.
up.
Answer
Hold
that
up.
question, then I will listen
Hold
to
up.
you. Answer
Go
that
ahead.
question, then I will listen to you.
What's your question? Go ahead.
Did you and Minnie set
What's
this
this
up?
question? What's your question? Go ahead.
No, don't bring me into it.
Question. Go
Because he
ahead.
took over the show.
I already asked
Wait
my
a minute.
question. You try to
What
ask
was
me
your
a question
question? I
over
didn't
that.
hear it. I'm sorry. I didn't hear it. Go ahead. What's your question?
Are those
What's your question?
religions not tied to a DNA of a people source?
Are religions not tied to a DNA source? Is that your question?
Islam and Christianity and Judaism are tied to foreigners, aliens, who see us as black.
You
A
know what?
people.
I didn't hear his question. Hold up. Go ahead, sir. What's your question about DNA?
How was you not, man? You got to clean your ears, bro. Because I
Go
can't
ahead.
sit here and keep repeating the same
Just
question.
repeat it.
I asked you like 4
Repeat it for
times.
me.
This
No,
must be a
other
white man.
people were
supposed to be black.
talking. Other people
Now,
were talking.
Now,
Go ahead.
what you're doing right now, this is a clear sign that you're a
No,
white
other
boy.
people were talking. Just go ahead and
This is a clear sign.
repeat it.
I know for a fact you're a white
Just
boy.
repeat
You ain't one of us.
No,
You
just
most definitely
repeat
ain't
it.
one of
Other
us.
people were talking.
I can't keep repeating that over
What
and
were
over
you-
again.
People
I
used
asked
to
you
do
like
this to us
5
No,
times.
all
what
the
were your
time.
question?
And
What
you
was
had
your
Okay,
no
so
question,
answer
sir?
wait
to
a
it.
minute, wait a
Hold
minute,
up.
wait a
What,
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Minnie, I
So
want to know his question, please.
he's
Yeah,
talking about
got
religion and stuff. So let me say this about my channel. I am a black woman. I talk a lot about black women and black men. So this channel, I cannot not talk about it because it's in me. So
Thank you.
if it's trying to persuade us
Thank
to
you,
stop
Queen
talking
Minnie.
about black
Thank you,
people,
Queen
I
Minnie. Thank
can't
you.
because I talk about us daily. So yeah.
So, what
Oh,
was your
I know.
question, sir?
Won't you
You gonna
invite us
answer
to
that
What
your
was your
question,
channel,
or
Governor?
not?
question?
You gonna
Won't you
answer that
invite
What
us
question or
to your
not?
channel so we can have the conversation without using the word black?
what
Let's see how you
what
get
was your?
down.
No, I want to know the gentleman's question. What was
Let's
his
just move on
question?
from the question. This wasn't even that. Honestly, it's gonna go around and around in a circle.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
okay,
Yeah.
that's
that's
fine.
it.
That's fine. That's
I
fine.
wanted to chime in. I wanted to chime in real quick. Some points I do agree with Clue. So I was born in 1965. So, I was coming up in New York City during the latter part of the civil rights movement, rolled into the 70s. So even I'm a little shorty, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I'm like, why does everything have to be about race? I thought the whole deal of us being a group of people that were taken from Africa, brought across the ocean. A segment of us survived slavery. Our ancestors, they survived the late 1800s, survived the early 1900s, and I took it as I kept hearing only the strong survives. So the blacks that made it through all of that, those were the strongest. So we should be able, and we have endured a lot, and we have survived through a lot. So why is it now during the 60s and the 70s into the 80s, instead of us talking about and acting on our strength, we spend more time acting and talking and acting on our weakness? And that is something that I've always been perplexed with. So on that part, I do agree with Clue, because I'm like, why does everything have to be about? Why can't it be? This is the strength that I have. This is the capacity that I have to make things happen for myself, for the people within my inner circle, and let me do what I need to do to get us forward.
And Jack
Hey,
Spade, I
can I
agree.
interject?
Hmm.
Okay.
I would like to interject. When you were born, and I was born in the 60s, we were colored and Negro. We didn't become black until the late 70s and early 80s. Then we became African American. So throughout time, we have had different descriptions that has been institutionalized through systematic racism. We did not start it, but what we do as a collective, we identify ourselves and we try to build among ourselves because we have been locked out of a system, and they have a new Jim Crow. But however, I am King Ajalon, the Anzubu of Low African Minds and Joint African Market. We started a market in Vallejo, and there has been 45% from Obama to Joe Biden of black businesses, and we are spending money with each other. Even though we might use the word African or Nubian or black, that doesn't get us in our way on our economic struggle. But however, your Queen Minnie,
Struggle.
she wanted to know about the relationship between the black man and black woman. And I admire this whole subject matter because the black woman can help the black man become a better man if they have a
No,
plan.
And if he's giving
this
back to
whole
her
black
too.
thing, this black thing, I have a
But
problem
this
with
is her
that.
show, and that was the subject matter. I'm
Yeah,
just
we're gonna
saying on the
I
subject
we're
have a
matter. We'll come to your show.
the whole black thing. Just get rid of it.
yeah,
Just
we
get rid of
can't.
it.
And, yeah.
Won't
So
you get rid of it and let us continue being us?
so
Okay, we'll get rid of the Clue. Let's call it, can a melanated woman help a melanated man? How about that?
Let's get rid of
So
that
we ain't
too.
saying black no more.
Let's
No,
get
we're
rid
not
of that
getting rid of
too.
that. We can
Let's
get
get
rid
rid
of
of it.
you, but we're not
Why?
getting rid of that. Because
Why
you're the
do we
only
need
one
to
in here that
harp
don't
on that?
agree it. Because you're the only
Why
one in here
harp
that don't
on that?
agree with it.
my
But why
show
do
and I
we
don't
need to harp
talk
on that?
Mr.
about it.
Jack Spade, I want
Let's
to
go.
comment to you, Mr. Jack Spade. I do agree with you. I grew up in I'm born in 83. So I've watched through the crack era or whatever. We come from a generation that's totally different from y'all generations. You probably came up with both your parents in the house. I didn't come up with either one. So the
Who, me?
generations down the line, any
Who, me?
most people.
Nah, not me. But
Who is
continue,
this?
continue.
This
This is
Jack Spade?
Jack Smith. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, if you didn't, either way, you come from an era where you seen black greatness, like you said. When you coming from my era where you see all of
It's
this
no black.
destruction, and then you see that whether we was black then or black now or black in the future, unless we do what we supposed to do to make our stance as a people, whether it's we call ourselves black, Nubian, African, Pan African, FBA, AOC, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever you want to call yourself, until we make a people. And you can't just forget what they did or just brush it off. We should be over it. We should
What
be,
they did
we
was
the
legal.
strongest survive and all of
What
that.
they did
Look,
was
boy,
legal.
I mean, sir, I'm
What
gonna
they
just
did was
ignore you.
legal.
But
Slavery was
so
legal.
regardless of however it's said, it's a generation to where I'm looking at it as I've seen where I had a 101-year-old grandmama that grew up on the slave plantation that we still own. So I know the stories, and I seen the triumph, and I seen our communities thrive when we was just in our communities. There was no integration. The only other outsiders was those that we took in because they were the outsiders. So all those extra little Irish and maybe one a Asian family might be in the community. Maybe there might be one Jewish or German family in the community. We was always giving people. We didn't seclude them like they secluded us, but we had our communities tight knit. I grew up in a community where every black person on that block owned their houses. Every person on the blocks before owned their houses. We had our own schools, had our own stores, had our own doctors, had our own army, actually our army that kids go to after school to play with, had our own fire station. We didn't wait on nobody. Police did not come through our area unless we called. Period.
And we also had
When we
successful
can
black
get back to that,
relationships.
when we can get, that's how, that's all the successful black relationships I seen was when we lived like that.
Real
I
So
quick, you
once
wanted
we
to.
guys.
start
Real quick, you
integrating,
guys. Real quick, you guys. I did remove Clue Channel from the panel because it was just too much of getting off topic, and I continued to let him know this. We're talking about black stuff because I'm a black woman, so I did remove him. So let's continue.
I
thank
wanted to
you.
respond to that real quick. So I
Mhm.
grew up. I grew up in New York City during well, we'll say the 70s, because from 65 to 70, I was a little kid. I ain't know any
Little
better.
kid, yeah,
So I grew up in despair. I grew up in no hope. But
yeah.
what allowed me to feel and believe that me as a black person I could make something good or decent or great of myself was by reading about the accomplishments of blacks from the past. Uh, the accomplishments that they acquired during the 1800s and the 1900s, and the black inventors, and the black explorers and stuff like that, which took me away from the despair and the you're never going to make it of New York City, and put a little bit of hope in my heart. And then what I needed to do is, okay, first things first, I need to find a constructive way to get the heck out of New York City, because I know that the world is bigger than this. There's a California, there's a Texas, there's an Atlanta, Georgia, there's a Chicago. We got the heartland, we got the plains. The world is bigger than New York City, and I need to figure out a way how to get out of here. And the best way I can get out of here is stay out of trouble, stay off the drugs, because at that time the big thing was heroin and angel dust. And if I can do that, stay out of the back of a police car, stay out of criminal trouble, get the best education that I could muster, get the heck out of New York City and build from there. So I'm not from an era where everything was gold and every household had a two-parent household. The one of the things I'm gonna end it on this. One of the things that my I joked with my grandmother and joked with my mother about is on my neighborhood in New York City where I grew up. at one time, this was back in the 70s, roll it into about the early 80s, maybe 4 households on my block, just on my block, was fatherless. Everyone else had a father. Now, the quality of the fathers that varies, but
That's different.
everybody had a father. Then when it started rolling into the 80s, and the kids that were older than me, they started leaving, and the parents may have passed away or may have moved, and started coming in people that whose household reflected my household, where to the point, I think when my brother, he started getting middle school age and stuff like that, just about every household on the neighborhood, same neighborhood, were all single parents. Now, the block after me and the block before me, totally different story. A lot of those houses, most of those houses were of a single parent. So,
And
like I
then
say, yeah,
it goes
yeah,
back to the same thing
so,
I was trying to say.
so what I was saying is, my era growing up in New York, it was not paved with gold. Some of this, like I said, some of the despair and hopelessness that people are talking about now, hell, I grew up in that.
I'm
So
so
okay,
sorry.
so real quick, because I mean, I think of questions like this pop up in my head all the time. So in that era when you did see, and I'm assuming they're black relationships. When you were saying that, even though the father was in present, he might not have been the best father or husband. I mean, the difference between then and now, because I wish that we could somehow go back and get some of those qualities. I mean, in
Right,
my mind,
right.
what popped in my head is I feel like we don't really see that we need each other, for one. Number two, kind of going back to what you were saying, Jack Spade, earlier, about how people do not know how to self-reflect and pull their own cards in a relationship to say, hey, this is what this is the negative parts of me. People don't know how to do that anymore. And then also, I think that we don't fight for relationships. People want, a person looks at you sideways, now the relationship is over. Versus my parents were together for 50 some years before my dad passed away. And it
Congratulations
wasn't it wasn't always easy.
and
I'm
my
pretty
condolences.
sure that they probably thought about leaving each other probably 2, 3, 4, 500 times, but they stuck through it and they figured it out. Now people just, oh, you did this and this, and there's no forgiveness. And then when there is forgiveness, the other person doesn't want to change to help get things back. It's they don't understand that, yes, we're two people, we're a man and a woman, but then also we can come in and do have this kind of wonderful type of energy together and move together and be one, even though we're two. That's no longer here, if
Well,
I'm
I
making
want
sense.
I want to add real quick. The fathers on my neighborhood, everybody who had a father on my block was an alcoholic. All the fathers passed
Wow.
away from some type of alcohol related illness. I'm gonna end it on that.
Okay.
Well, well,
Wow. Okay.
I admire what you said, Jack, and I admire what Queen Minnie said. Um, I come from a neighborhood where there was 500 houses, and you had to walk a mile this way, a mile that way, a mile this way, and a mile that way, in all four directions to get to civilization. But we were all black community. We might have had one Mexican family. We did have one Filipino family, and I think it was like what they call poor white trash, or what they call lower class whites. And in our community, um, there was mothers and fathers and grandmothers, and we got to play in the street, and people was quick to help you fix the bike, or wherever. They used to grow their own food in the backyard. They used to trade food with each other. Um, it was the headquarters of the Black Panthers and the FOI and the Civil Rights Movement. We had the Boy Scouts, the Cub Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the Campfire Girls. We had power activity. Archie Moore lived right across the street from me. He taught us how to box. Um, in that sense, it was Negro pride, colored pride, black pride, Afro pride, African American pride, and whatever name you guys want to use, because it wasn't about the name, it was about us being together. We always do better together. But however, with gentrification, it made us start looking at other women. And I apologize to the black woman about the black man having a little piece of change and wanting to dog y'all out and go to the other woman and treat her like she's a cherry on top of the ice cream. When we know chocolate is the most powerful substance, it heals and it's good to the taste.
Well, real quick. I mean, yeah, that I think there was an era also where black men would go with other women, white women or whatever. And yeah, they would treat them like they are the cherry on top of the cake. But I think now black men dogging them out too. They
I mean,
dogging them
running
out too,
through.
just like us. They realizing, whoa, oh, wow. Not all of them. I got to
So,
put that in there. Not all of them. If there's good
so
black
from
men, you got
social
to throw
media
that in there. People get crazy. Go ahead. I'm listening.
and from social media, from my analytical and critical thinking, the black man just need to be left alone by everybody.
Okay.
And I mean, that's what I hear a lot inside the social media. He's just an outcast. He's public enemy number one, which is a COINTEL operation. And I think we as a people are helping this become successful.
Well, I mean, but okay, King Ajalon, when are we going to start? And you and I've had this conversation before. When are we going to start holding people accountable? When are we going to start? So
Okay,
so
so
let's wait. So wait, hold on. So let's go to the black woman, since people probably like, oh, she
she is
rags
our
on
first
black women
teacher.
too
What is
much.
she teaching us?
So okay. So some of us black women, how we're acting is not the best. Some of us black women, we are really short tempered over stuff that we should not be short tempered over. Our attitudes are crappy. It's a whole list of things that black women can change to make our image and make us be better mates, better mothers, and better women. So now, when are we going to start holding everybody accountable? The black
I
woman and the
agree. I
black man
agree.
of their behavior.
I agree. But who is giving the black man the information he needs?
They won't listen to
If
me.
he has
They
a
won't
pipe to
listen to
prison,
me.
if he has a school to prison pipeline, if he's an outcast, right? If they said they're going to replace the black woman with the black man, if we know there's been social engineering, right? And he's been perpetrated to be a thug, a pimp, a gangster, a hooligan, a cheat. And this is the image that he repeatedly see. Where is the other information at? So he can know how to see his own reflection. Because the brother said we need
Many,
to reflect.
many,
I'm listening.
personally, I've been holding black women, black females in my family, myself accountable
Mm-hmm.
since I honestly had my son because it started to give me a realization of the black leaders, the black females in my life that was supposed to teach me how to be a black woman, how it's supposed to be, how to take care of a man, how to salute a man. I had women in my family that showed me, and I had women in my family that did not. So when you ask when should we start holding accountable, I've been holding them accountable. And like King Ajalon is saying, in social media, you got girls on here. Like literally, I go on my Twitter, all you see is females shaking their behind, showing body
Yep.
parts.
It's
Don't nobody
disgusting.
know how to cook. Don't nobody know how to
Nope.
clean. Don't nobody know how to
Nope.
do none of that.
Exactly.
So I don't even feel comfortable with my son growing up, knowing that his girlfriend can't cook chicken and she gonna get him salmonella, kill my whole bloodline
Oh
out.
Lord.
Like it's not even cool. Like I just literally all his friends like, okay, I talked to my son and it is what it is. But he understands that this is what you need to do. Like you gonna need to learn. Like it's things that we as women I don't see the black men rising the way they're supposed to be until we rise up too. Period. We can't be waiting for them to put us on that pedal. We have to do what it is that we've always done, nurture this earth and get it back together. What are they supposed to be kings at if we ain't got nothing to be kings though? Like we gotta, it's up to us and we ain't gotta wait on nobody. If black women can come together like how me and you come together, don't know each other from apple in a tree, but we coming together to just talk about this. We can agree to disagree. We ain't over here like, oh, well, I'm the cutest. I'm do this is what I do. It's none of that animosity. It's all about building. It's all about, okay, how can we build each other? Like literally, I want to ask after this show, I'm finna follow you, do all of that. Whatever you into,
Thank
I'm
you.
trying to help invest in what you invest in.
Thank you.
Because whatever you invest in, whatever I'm investing in you, I'm investing in myself. Because I'm
Absolutely.
investing in the black female and the black unity of the people in general. So that's just my intake on when we got to hold us accountable. We should have been holding us accountable in the 60s, in the 50s, in the
Mm-hmm.
20s, and all that. Whenever we dropped this ball, we should have been holding each other accountable. That's why we are centuries late from holding people accountable.
And the sad thing about it is I've had, because I wasn't taught a lot of, I mean, I came from a decent family. Like I said, I already disclosed that my parents were still together and stuff, but some of the fundamental things about really being a wife to somebody in the future when I was young, that wasn't taught, or how to be a certain kind of woman. There was a lot of things growing up that I was not taught as a young Black girl. And so I had to teach myself as a woman, as a Black woman, certain things. And one of the things I had to teach myself was to listen to Black men, especially if I'm hearing Black men say the same thing over and over and over about us. Instead of me getting defensive, it took a while because it was programmed in me to be defensive and defend, how dare you talk about us. But I started listening and asking them questions. But what I've realized is, even though I'm asking them questions and I'm digesting what they told me, and I'm like, I see it now. I see what you're seeing. When I tell them and hold the mirror up to them and say, hey, since you told me what you see in our, as a Black women as a whole, let me tell you what I see Black men as a whole also. They don't want to hear it. So they want me to hear, and I listen, and I digest, and I adjust. They don't want to hear it. That's what I have come across.
And that's when you keep it moving.
But literally, no, literally, I've actually started playing with this. I've actually asked, like, a lot of Black men that I've come across, what can Black men do to make the situation better between Black women and Black men? And I've been asking this question maybe for about 6 months now. I think I've only had one Black man tell me a real answer, and not BS me, or not dismiss me, or not change the subject or manipulate with the conversation. I've only had one, and I've asked probably 24 random.
Queen Minnie,
But
I'm
you didn't
listening.
ask me.
I already
I
know.
would like to ask the panel.
You and I talk so much. Go ahead.
I would like to ask the panel, can we do a show on the solution for the black man? How because there's no room in this system for the black man to see a mirror. And you guys are right. We have to hold a mirror up to ourselves. And how do we start the process? Because an individual is an individual, but we are categorized and grouped as a whole. And so until we collectively change our approach, our conversation and image, there's some good individuals, but as a whole, we're going to be seen as dogs or as cheaters or as egotistic or narcissists or over prideful or my way or the highway. And the black man, the original man, is a very beautiful soul in its natural state.
I
Real
want to
quick,
respond to that.
but real quick, I want to say hello to the nameless. He just came on the panel. Hello and welcome to the panel.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me up.
Do you want to comment since you just got on the panel?
I'm new here. I just saw your feed in my algorithm, so I just wanted to sit down and take a little bit of a listen to what you guys were
Okay.
talking about, and make sure I had a good full grasp of the context before I added any contribution of my subjective opinion. I know this conversation happens a lot, and one of the biggest issues is because there's so much of a degree of people's needs not being met on both ends, that it's difficult sometimes to have the conversation in good faith, meaning that whoever brings up the topic, there's a missing currency of trust there, where
Mm.
people think that the question is being asked to weaponize them and place a delegation of liability on someone rather than a delegation of responsibility.
Wow.
And so the two, they're like fraternal twins. The difference is the energy that animates the two. When you have a responsibility paradigm, what you're dealing with is a matter of authority. And authority is something that requires a measure of submission from the individuals that are involved to take responsibility over that. In the absence of that authority, you're left with liability. And liability has a critical issue in that, sure, it applies an automatic designation of fault, but it doesn't promote initiative. And a majority of our problems are animated by this issue where there's fault being allocated, and the model of fault that's being used is one that's been faulty for us for a lot of reasons. And at the end of the day, the only authority figure that is prevalent in this system is either the state or whoever has control of the children. And we already know just by making a casual observation in our community in general with the Ado social complex, or however you want to describe yourself, individuals who've been assigned the classification of Black, we have a disproportionate balance of power where.
Did you come back on here with a different voice?
Wait a minute, Angela. I want to hear. I want to hear. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry about that, Elder. I'll try to wrap things up. I just want to present that there is a nuance that takes place here where if people understand the full story of what's happening, if you want to boil it down to the lowest common denominator, there's a few things the Ado social complex has to come to a conclusion decisively about. It's number one, does the Ado social complex want a Black community? That has to be a yes or no. And if the answer is yes, trust has to be restored, and there has to be a social contract that's renegotiated, and a true decision making of what the roles of each gender is going to be.
Wow.
Otherwise, we're going to continue to run into this confusion because the state and the educational system and the modalities of power that everyone's tapping into in America is running directly in conflict with what a lot of people think they're expecting from each other. And the problem is when you're talking about roles, these aren't things that you get just because you put a ring on somebody. There is a culture or an acculturation that has to occur. Because if you don't do that, you don't learn the important tools for how to solve that when it doesn't work. I think earlier you described what it looks like when you see individuals who have been in relationships for a long time and they find out ways to make it work. Oftentimes, there was external resources that either were forcing the two together or they've been acculturated and seen models where it's worked. So they followed the silent generation. The silent generation followed the generation of folks that were involved directly off the plantation during Reconstruction. So we're talking about the Jim Crow era where there was nowhere else to go. We have to be honest about the condition of our relation to one another and what we expect, and making a decision on how we want to arrange our families, because they're being decided for us. And a lot of what we see now is because the environment allows for it and the government supports it. And either way, it gets its money. We just have to decide, how are we going to respond to the challenges that are facing us in the future? Because if you only knew what was on the way, if you only knew what's going on to the children now, you're going to see very quickly that it's going to be groups of people who have a cultural modality in place and a strategy and are planning ahead 5 and 6 generations ahead that are going to have more options to respond to the fourth industrial revolution and the changes that are occurring now, and those who don't. And unfortunately for the Ado social complex, we have not devised a cultural strategy, and we're working on very outdated information and presupposition that's not helping either of our interests.
Wow, I think you just made love to my mind.
I wanted to chime in.
Wow, that was.
I disagree with everything he said.
What?
Yeah,
You disagree with everything he said?
Yeah, I wanted to chime in real quick. So I
I
got
I I
th-
I I I hear him, but go ahead. I'm always open to hear other people's opinion.
all
Wow,
right.
go ahead.
I got 3 points. I'm gonna hit the first one. I may have time to hit the second one and the third one. I'll come back to it later. Now, the roles in the household. Because I was a man who was married for 6 years with a child. My son was in the household also. My biological child. He was not the child of my wife at that time. You know, roles are basically all hands on deck situation. There are household duties and expectation that has to be tackled and completed for the short term and long term. You've got two adults in that household. Each person has their strengths and weaknesses, limitations and negative tendencies. Both parties need to figure out a way to identify their strength, identify their weaknesses. You also have, work requirement. You have each party have their work schedule, but both parties gonna have to figure out how to take care of everything that needs to be done inside that household. You got rent or mortgage that has to be taken care of. You got the utilities. You got the cooking. You got discipline. You got education. You got a whole lot of stuff that's going on in that household. Every household is not going to fall under a cookie cutter game plan. But that's one thing I do not hear on social media. I hear the women talking this garbage about uh, finding a high value man so they don't have to work, and then they could be housewives. I just hear a bunch of optimistic circle jerking. Do I actually hear realistic game plan to managing a household with or without children? So that's the first part. When it comes down to what men and women need to do, first off, what I hear, folks got too many doggone excuses. You ask them a simple question, you ask them a challenging question, or to take accountability of themselves, they want to throw up a bunch of excuses.
Yep.
I could have grew up and said, "Oh, well, I suffer from the traumas of growing up in New York City, or I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, or I didn't grow up with a father. The white man is trying to hold me down." All of that is a bunch of BS excuses. My mother and my grandfather, my mother, my grandmother, and up to a certain extent, my father, they provided me the best opportunity I could as a youth. They gave me the opportunity to the best education which they could afford. Okay, which they could afford. It wasn't a lot. Um, and my job was to take that and like I said, get the heck up out of New York City or stay in New York City. Take what they were able to afford me and my brother, make the best of it, and do what I needed to do to get myself to the next stages of life. Do what the heck I needed to do for myself. And if I decided to take on a spouse and children, be the best husband, be the best father, be the best adult that I could to help them get to where they need to get to. And that's something I do not hear from too many people. It's just a bunch of freaking excuses. Like I said, yeah, it took me about 34 to get the wake up call to, hey, bro, just you already knocked out a lot of the things that you said you need to do. You need to get that chip off your shoulder. You need to put your grudges to the side and all that kind of stuff, because dude, you blink your eyes one too many times, you're going to be 40 years old, and nobody wants to hear any doggone excuses about this here, that. You got a son who's growing up. Eventually, if he survives, he's going to turn 18 years old, 21 years old. He's 30 years old now. And as I told him, I said, look, bro, I said, the reason why I do things the way I do and the reason why I move the way I move is because I grew up around too many people with excuses. You know, I coulda, wouldas, and shouldas. I said, this is what when you was born, I said, this was what my game plan. I said, when you turn 13, 16, 19, 21, 25, I said, I made sure that you did not have a father that issued you a bunch of coulda, woulda, shouldas. I said, I've never told you coulda, woulda, shouldas. I told you this is what I've done and this is what I'm doing. And I said, I made myself like that because when you get to my age and you have a child, you have children, you have a spouse, nobody wants to hear about coulda, woulda, shoulda. They want to hear this is what this is what the husband is going to do, and this is what I have done, and make it happen. But that kind of talk we don't have in many circles of Black America. We don't have that type of talk here on YouTube because everybody's got a freaking excuse. And I ended on that.
If you don't mind, let's go back
So-
to what you were talking about, the stay-at-home moms, and you're saying women have this fantasy of being a stay-at-home mom. Because I was a stay-at-home mom for 4 years. So could you elaborate on that a little bit, on your view on that?
Yes, it's an optimistic fantasy because there's only going to be a segment of women, period, in the United States who are going to be stay-at-home moms. It's only a segment. Every woman is not going to be a stay-at-home mom.
I agree with you. I was very fortunate, and I'm very, very fortunate.
And you know, in a lot of the parts I hear about the stay-at-home, a lot of these women, they just want somebody to come along and remove them from the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only going to be a segment of women, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their religion, no matter their race, that's going to meet a husband that is going to provide that type of lifestyle for them. Everybody else is going to have to work. Now, you may work part-time, you may have to put in 40 hours, you may have to put in 80 hours, but you know, take advantage of what life has afforded you. And maximize it to the best of your potential as an individual. And if you do share your life with a husband or wife, maximize you two's capacity and do what you need to do that's in the best interest of your children, long term and short term, because when they grow up, they're going to have children, and that's where you as a grandparent comes in, and you assist the children, or child or children. I got one, to be the best grandparent that you can to assist them in moving your grandchild or grandchildren through those stages of childhood to
Yeah.
Can anyone hear
adulthood.
me?
Now, what I think is missing, real quick, and just touch this topic real quick. I think I mean, I don't know if we could all agree on this. That the mindset of how we used to be and how it is now is totally different. So, kind of on that same topic of me being a stay-at-home mom, yes, I was very fortunate. I was the person my daughter's father, he was able to take care of everything. I had a wonderful lifestyle. I didn't want for anything. But in doing that, I could have worked. But in doing that, we both knew that I could be more utilized. I could be better utilized at home, making sure our daughter's hitting all her milestones and she's not going to a babysitter. But I think that mindset is a little different. Now, my mom did the same thing with me. My mom told my dad when she got pregnant, I'm not working the first 4 years. Now, my dad didn't make as much money as my daughter's father, but they made it work. Why? Because they saw that the benefits in her staying home, and they made and money was tight from what she told me, but they understood the benefit. And I think a lot of these younger women and even men too, they miss that. And who's here to raise the children? I think even if the
May,
money's tight, they should still stay home. And when your child gets a certain age, then you go back into the workforce. It's needed.
can
Also, I'd
anyone
like
hear
to
me?
respond to Jack Spade whenever you get a moment,
Can
so
anyone
I
hear
can
me?
So
be
I'm done.
quick.
I'm telling.
Yeah, we can hear you,
That's what
fam.
I said, and whoever wants to else say something, say something.
But
Can
I
anyone
think
hear me?
I think the was
Yes.
next.
Hello?
We can hear you, King Ajalon.
Oh, I had a question I want to ask for the brother go forward.
Which one?
What percentage of Black America has operated with a two-parent household with a stay-at-home mom? And since we're talking about the modern, how many Black men can afford the rent, the utilities, the insurance, the food, and all the other expenses in this economy? And how many percentages of corporate jobs has that type of salary or wage. Because I know all black men or all men won't be included.
Yeah,
I
Well,
I'm gonna
I
say
think it starts with the mindset. But go ahead though. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say
I,
at best 10% in Black America.
so I actually
Okay,
got the
okay. When I say Black America, I'm talking about ADOS. I'm not talking about the African families or the Caribbean families. I'm talking about ADOS.
so I got the stats right
Hey,
here.
whatever word you
If you want
use,
to take a
black,
look at them.
Ado, it doesn't make a difference. We
Wait,
know what you're talking about.
Ajlan, the nameless has the stats.
Yeah. So I can't really. I'll put them in the back chat for you guys here. So and what I wanted to respond to Jack Spade with, because I don't think you actually. I don't know. Maybe if you said it or if someone else said it. Someone said they disagreed with everything I said. I didn't hear anything disagreeable to what I said. So maybe I didn't articulate what I was trying to get across clear enough.
I know you articulated. You said a lot. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't necessarily mean that
But
what my intention to get across was clear. So
yeah, I just disagree with it because I know for a fact that me and you, we grew up in two different places.
okay. So I'll give you a
I'm
little bit
pretty,
about me
yeah,
so you can
here in
decide.
America. I mean, I'm pretty sure you grew up, you know what I'm saying, probably in the East or the West Coast, right?
Well, my parents were in the military, so I've been everywhere, all over the world and all over the United States. So maybe
Yeah,
my perspective's a
Oh,
little
you have a
different.
total different
yeah,
demographics.
yeah. My point of saying that was, you know what I'm saying, because the places I be, you know what I'm saying, the places I go, I'm in a lot of all black cities uh, uh, all across the South and other places like it here in the Midwest. And even in the big city that I live in now, here in Kansas, my neighborhood is pro-black, and it looks like it's gonna stay that way, and that's a good thing. And a lot of the stuff I see around me, I don't hear about it. I don't see it. Black people own their houses here. They own all these businesses over here where I live. Uh, I mean, it's nothing that's a failure. I mean, it's a lot of houses. I'm pretty sure most of everybody over here married with kids. You know, send a lot of college educated people around here. A lot of the stuff I hear about, I just don't see it where I live and the places I be. That's why I disagree with a lot of stuff that you said.
Well,
Jack, in name is
maybe
one.
that's
How can we come together and implement what you're talking about?
so what I'm saying is this. So I don't want to discount, his experience. So again, I grew up, my grandparents lived in the DMV. So that's the Maryland, Virginia area, right there where DC is at. So I saw a lot of both of what he's talking about there. You've got Silver Springs, Maryland, and PG County right there. It's literally the largest black suburb, probably one of the richest square mile per real estate of black families there in the
Right.
United
My
States.
cousin lived there in Maryland.
Okay, so you already know, fam. And then
Yeah, I
the
know. I know.
difference between there and then you go into DC and you go to Southeast. It's a completely different culture. Then you go into that area of Northern Virginia where you're talking about Arlington and Fairfax. That's probably some of the richest real estate in the country next to Hollywood and some places in Florida. So like
There have
where I came
always
up,
been a blue A class.
so I'm saying I've seen the whole spectrum. So I don't want to discount his experience. And it's why I want to separate an individual experience versus talking about the bigger picture as a whole. And I don't want, again, I'm saying this in good faith. I think this plays out differently for the individual versus the aggregate. And because we are 14% of the population, and wherever we live at, we tend to dominate the regions we live in with regards to a particular district, or we're in a particular spot. For example, think Atlanta, Georgia, maybe, given before gentrification takes place, we can get kind of a mixed impression of the way things look for the bigger picture. What I was trying to get across with regards to this is just simply that when you listen to people talk about roles, there's not usually a consensus on who has authority, followed by the fact that what the elder was talking about just a second ago with the percentage of single parent homes And the court system, I don't want to blame it on the court system because this is going to sound like excuses. The bottom line
No,
is
because
we do
there is
have a large amount
a
of
school to prison pipeline.
right. We know that Michelle Alexander has a good book called The New Jim Crow that breaks all of that down. Like, I think most folks know that. I want to avoid insulting people's intelligence and trying to sound like it's an excuse. I'm taking
Man,
a
put the truth
snapshot
out
of the
there
present moment.
100. I like the way you're expounding.
Yeah, I just want to take this quick snapshot so people can see that the general narrative in our demographic is that Black women are doing it all by themselves and that Black men are just not trying. And then you go to other sections of Black America, and if the community has any modicum of being intact, it looks a lot like what I experienced seeing with my grandparents. The community modalities being put there, but I got to see what happened when the crack epidemic and the policies that Clinton had with the 3 strikes rule, what it did to where I lived at. I saw it go from community, you could leave your doors open and it wasn't a problem, to all of a sudden folks is getting holes put in their windows on a regular basis over the course of just 10 years. So, there's a lot of people that experience that and people responded very differently to it. And as a result, we have to look at what the actual narrative is currently. When you combine that with the way family is being taught in school, and there's some notes I can get you in the back chat so you can see some of the curriculum of what's being talked about. I don't think the majority of people would agree with the way family is being described in schools right now. And it's not to paint family modalities as some sort of monstrous, enslaved position to be in. But there's definitely a negative painting of masculine roles within the family, and a very fast and loose way this idea of toxic masculinity is being presented, and the way that the educational system is changing the way boys are interacting with their education, is changing the way psychology is deciding how they want to actually socialize the children. And I don't think that, and again, because of the economic situation we find where just in general, both parents are finding themselves in a position to work, if they're in a cooperative situation like that, that they're finding the time to counteract these influences from the outside with their children through direct parenting and intervention.
That is
I
true.
can I translate what he said
Please.
for the people who live in the ghetto? All right, I'm translating what this brother told y'all. What he said to y'all was the schools is tripping and they fit to push some crazy curriculum, which actually started, they passed it in 2019, but people don't know. They've been talking about it on Facebook for a long time. They've been talking about it since 2019. They talk about some binary, whatever. They want to be able to. They want kids to call. You can't call your siblings no more. They want you to call them. I can't even say those words because it just don't. It don't feel right. But
Doesn't.
but basically what they saying is gonna be, they gonna outlaw you calling your brother your brother. You ain't gonna be able to call your sister no more. These people are non-binary now. Is what they trying to lace us with. But they trying to push on your kids uh uh some stuff called pedophilia and some other stuff called necrophilia that they already added to the LGB letters and all that. It's a L. I mean, it's a P and an N. They already added it, and basically they fit to have your kids in school like being like they fit to teach them to be carefree about their sexuality. They fit to just straight flat out teach them about sex, even in elementary schools. They already, this curriculum is already rocking and rolling in certain regions of America. I noticed,
But
and
you
it's
know the
gonna get
trick bag,
crazy.
the trick
Gonna
bag
I
get
they
would
put
like
us,
crazy.
to.
but you know the trick bag they're putting us
I
in,
would
and I
like
want
to
to say
express
this because
something
I think
too.
it's important. I just want to say this one thing, just because it's going to tie it up. Not only everything he's just said, that's exactly what's going on. I'll put a link in the chat if you guys want to take a look at that on your own. But the sinister part behind all of this and why this is frustrating is because they're using the civil rights legislation to defend this crap. So if you try to give any pushback to it, essentially you get classified as being transphobic, homophobic, enter whatever prefix you want, followed by phobic. That's what you're about to get hit with. And they're using the civil rights legislation to manipulate it. So all the work that folks been doing to try to get everything we got in 1964, it's been hijacked and weaponized to push these things through. And it happened while we weren't really paying attention like that, not as a group, because I don't think we understood what these implications were. That's what I wanted to drive home with that.
And I appreciate that. I would like to say something. I would like to expound to the Pan-African community. I am transphobic and I am homophobic. I am white supremacist phobic. I have phobias. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a mental orientation, and it can come from indoctrination. So don't let them tell you you having a phobia is good or bad. It's something that you have, and it's okay. Some people are black phobic, but to the Pan-African community, we have to move out of here, or we have to come together collective and become autonomous and sovereign and start our own institutions within the national forest or the federal forest. We have to gain some land from the Department of Interior, because the agenda is to have your child from 8 and up to be able to suck a penis, whether they're male or female, from a grown person. Their agenda has always been clear from the Greek and Roman days. I don't beat around the bush trying to use extravagant words or language to pacify anyone. If you're offended, be offended. And if you can accept it, accept it. But do your research is the most important part. And I want to thank everybody on this panel for interjecting and bringing light. But getting back to the topic, can the black woman make the black man better?
So
I have to agree with Queen Victoria that she can help the black man become a better man if she realizes of all the darts and arrows that's been shot at the black man and the evolution of institutional racism and systemic racism. If the black woman take that factor in, her black man or her ALDS or her aboriginal or whatever words that best describe what the brother is going through, he can be uplifted by a strong black woman. And I agree with Queen Minnie. He has to pour back into the vessel. Black men, we have to become responsible. We have to pour back into the vessel, ADOS.
So we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So let's just kind of wrap it up. And anybody has final comments about stuff? I mean, this was a really good show, and I'm thanking everybody on the panel for being up here. And anybody's listening live, we're going to listen later after this is not live anymore. Go ahead and subscribe and like and hit the notification button, and go get my book, A White Man's Whore, on Amazon. Read the description, figure out what it's about, get it. Great book. Thank you. So again, the topic is, can a black woman really change the modern black man into something great? Whew. As a black man, as a black woman, as a black woman who have dug deep inside myself as a woman and had this flower that I had to water because no one taught me it was even there. Watered this flower inside of me and prepared myself to give this nurturing nectar to a black man, to help him in his journey and to help him in his next steps and to help him do this and help him do that. I'm sad to say I've had a lot of my nectar misused and my soil not fertilized by them. So I have a different perspective on it. I believe if you do have two people coming together with the goal and they're communicating and they have trust, they can build trust and they have good communication.
Right on.
And they have all these, they have these things and they're quick, their sorries mean something, and they understand what it means to really try to strive for healthy relationship, and they're both on the same page, then absolutely a woman is a strong being. Yes. I mean, I almost had a child natural, so
that experience right there shows how strong physically she can be, even though physically she can, men are stronger mentally. As a woman, that's a whole another show talking about how it is to be a woman and all the things you have to go through. We are very strong. So can we? Yes, we can. But a lot of us do it and not realizing that we have to get something back to make us to sustain us and not to deplete us. So that's my answer. I'll open it up for the last few minutes for anyone else to say their words, their final words.
All right, I was going
I
to make
just
this
want
very
to
quick.
say as my last word that black men, we have to reflect, we have to do better. And if you find that strong, good, nurturing black woman with all that nectar, pour it back into her.
Yeah. Thank you, King Ajlan.
Oh, I was going to say three quick points. Neither a man nor a woman can make the other person a. What was the topic? What was the topic again? I didn't get a chance to write that down.
A greater person, a better
Make them a
version.
make them a great person. No, they can't do it. The
Mhm.
person has to have the tangibles. Now, what you can do as a husband or wife, living girlfriend, whatever title you got, you can contribute to the foundation. Yes,
Mhm.
you can help make the travel smoother by not getting in the person's way. Yes, but if that person, male or female, if they don't have the tangibles, if they don't have that they ain't gonna be able to do it. They got to have it from the get go, or at least have enough and then learn as they grow. Second point, accountability. Uh, no one can hold anyone accountable unless he or she can levy consequences and rewards against the other person. Now, like I said, me as once being married, my wife, ex-wife, she could hold me accountable to things that I said I was going to do. She can hold me accountable and reverse. But the chick that lives upstairs from me, I cannot hold her accountable because I don't have a vested interest in her. She doesn't have a vested interest in me. Could I hold my son accountable when he was young and when he was living with me? Yes, but now he's 30 years old with a spouse and his own child. Now his wife can hold him accountable and vice versa, and then them as a team, they can hold my granddaughter accountable for her thoughts, speech, and actions. Oh, and you can throw in your employer up to a limit. Your employer can hold you accountable for whatever goes on at work. But you catch a DUI, out in the street, your cable gets cut off, your car gets repoed. Your employer cannot hold you accountable to that. Now you may get fired because you can't show up to work, but they're holding you accountable to what was in the company's policy. And that was my 3 points.
KOK, you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was, a lovely show. It was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I hope all the people that was up on the panel keep showing up every time you hit that live. You know what I'm saying? Hit that bell. Make sure you go to the top and say all. Push that. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like, share, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? All that. Pretty sure some of us have. And I'm gonna be here every time you do this. You know what I'm saying? I like this. These are healthy conversations and the stuff that need to be said, need to be talked. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people out here can't seem to find the time to do it. You know what I'm saying? But you have. And, you know what
I
I'm saying? I
appreciate it.
definitely like
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fun. Yeah, I'm gonna hop back down in the chat. Nice talking to everybody up here.
Salute to you, brother.
Thank you.
Salute.
Thank you.
Jack Spade and the African Minds. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
You are welcome. So the Nameless. Let's hear from you, Nameless.
I want to say I co-sign on what Jack Spade said. You can't multiply by zero. People say that the opposite of love is hate, and then other folks will say that opposite is indifference. I think the opposite of love is fear, and your desires and what you look for is going to be animated by one of those two energies. And the only way you can get out of fear, which a lot of people are stuck on is through courage and strength. If you don't have that, you can't have trust. And if you don't have trust, there is no relationship. There's just this distant relatability that doesn't produce what you think you're looking for. You can only cultivate that with yourself, so you have to have enough self-honesty within yourself to make that happen. So I don't think that anybody can make anybody great. They have to be willing to accept themselves and set a very clear objective behind what your relationship is going to attain. It's only from there that you can develop a level of mutual altruism, which gives you a community. Otherwise, you're just, like you said before, you can only operate as far as your ability to reward and punish. That's just how human relationships are. If you want something a little bit more esoteric to look into to get an idea of what a woman performing that role of force multiplier can look like, just go look at the story of Isis and how she addressed her husband and how all of the circumstances that happened when Osiris went down and what she did as a result and in response to it. And a lot of people may look at that story from a position of fear and disappointment and hurt, perhaps, and they may not understand her actions. But look at that story again and really look at our story as a people in total, and then ask yourself if you can be that force multiplier.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, again, thank you everyone for listening. For anyone who's going to listen later, everyone who's in the panel, for everyone left a comment, and you guys have a wonderful night. People on the panel, if you want to stay backstage, that's cool. But I'm ending this, and have a wonderful night, you guys.
Everybody have a great week.